Patreon Q&A number 73, part 2. Part 1 was released earlier today. I still want to thank all 115 of my amazingly beautiful patrons. And to everyone else listening, there's going to be spoilers in these questions and answers, so tread carefully. Chase C asks, what's good, Z? As always, I'm glad to support your content and hope the channel continues to grow and prosper. Hey, thank you so much, Chase. I'm always appreciative of it, my friend. My question this week is, what would happen if Superalloy Darkshine squared off against USJ All Might? So this is a good matchup here. And I'm more inclined to side with All Might here. So let me just say why. Because I think All Might is probably just as fast as Garo from Chapter 127. Probably even faster. And yes, even that USJ All Might. Because, like, the speed feat that he has from starting at the top of the stairs and then, like, within, like, I don't know, half or a quarter of a second is instantly downed them and took out all of those goons in an instant. Like, that was crazy. Also, the way that he's able to save Bakugo from the Nomu instantly, like, that speed just seems to be, like, faster or, you know, like I said, just as fast. So Darkshine would have a hard time keeping up with that. And also, as we've seen, you know, All Might is capable of barraging and blitzing the way that Garo can too, like with his punches and stuff. Now, obviously, he's not the skilled martial artist that Garo is. He's more so just uses like straight punches and hooks and stuff like that, and kind of has like a freestyle, athletic type of style, the way that Boros does. So it's less skill involved, but more athleticism and power behind it. So Darkshine would have a better time at hanging with them, and he would get some counter shots in as well. And I think All Might could probably take those punches, because he could take the punches from the USJ Nomu, who was obviously ultra powerful. And even in his more weakened state, he was getting blown around the city and stuff by All For One, who's, you know, super powerful with his air cannons and stuff, you know, blowing away city blocks and stuff like that. So I'm pretty sure that he could take a punch from Darkshine. You know, his strength was pretty good too. Like, we saw that he was able to lift up those train cars and touch monsters and make them explode and stuff like that. So I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility or too outrageous to think. But then we got to factor in Darkshine's durability, which, you know, All Might is kind of dealt with when the Nomu had shock absorption, and he was able to overcome that. So maybe he could do it with Darkshine too, maybe not, but also we have to take into consideration that All Might can tap into the Vestige's power and just go way, you know, over the limit to what he normally has. I mean, he's done it twice. He did it against the Nomu, and he did it against All For One. So if he was pushed, you know, far enough by Darkshine and knew that he had to defeat him for the sake of humanity, then I'm sure he could tap into that power and probably also knock Darkshine into the stratosphere the way that it did to the Nomu. More or less. You know, Darkshine could probably win too, but I'm more inclined to think that All Might could probably take this one, especially USJ All Might. Bryan asks, yo Z, hope your week is going good. First question I want to ask is, do you think we will see any heroes, non-Esper or Cyborg, use some kind of key energy attack in One Punch Man? There's been plenty of monsters, Rover, Homeless Emperor, Chose, to use some kind of energy, but no heroes seem to have used it, excluding King. So I think that this type of power seems to come into the territory of monster, so that's why we really haven't seen any heroes use it yet. Maybe it's like the light and the dark side of the force type stuff. But other than that, I think, you know, Boros was able to do that, but he's like an alien, and that goes into his inherent race. But I think that Blast is probably going to use something like that. Like in the data book, it says he can shoot lasers from his eyes. And that might come from him inherently just being a super powerful being, or maybe he was able to tap into the power but not become a monster, but still reap the benefits of using energy blast. But at the same time, you know, Blast could maybe fall into the Esper category, and I'm going to make a video about that. But I think the good candidate of seeing this is probably going to be Blast. My second question is, do you think there's a possibility Drive Knight has harvested the bodies of monsters we've seen, similar to how he did with Neon and the other beings, bringing them back a cyborg, or incorporates their powers into his own body? I think it's extremely likely that this is the case. I don't think it's the first time that he took a monster with Neon. The way that he talked about it, like how he says, like, humanity has used animals and their structures and stuff like that to enhance their own mechanical prowess and stuff like that. It makes me think that he's definitely taken monsters into account before, because, like, the organization, which he allegedly is a part of, you know, they're all about gauging others' power and using it for their benefit. And I don't think they're just limiting themselves to heroes and whatnot. They're obviously observing monsters too, and there's plenty of monsters out there for them to analyze and take into account and everything, and to use them to their advantage. Plenty of monsters that we haven't seen in the series. So I think it's extremely likely that this is the case. P.S. I have a theory for the next webcomic chapter. Another hero will show up to fight between the clown and the public sees my masked monster form, and the public will be mad that they stole his spotlight and realize how unfair the world and the public perception could be. I think that's very likely. I do think something like that is going to happen, but I hope it ties into the Neo hero. Dino W asks, hey Shonen, I've actually been watching your content for years now, and there's a lot I want to say, but to sum it all up, I think your One Punch Man content is awesome. I really love all the info, stats, and breakdowns you give to all the characters and themes of the story. Your videos on characters like Garo or from other series like Bakugo from My Hero help motivate me through all the training I do in life in general. I always find time to watch your whatever content you post, and I'm glad that you're here to share these series with all of us. So all I can say now is you're awesome and the first and only person I'm a patron of right now, and I hope it'll help you keep doing what you do. Hey, thank you so much, Dino, and that really means a lot to me. It really feels like I have like good purpose, because the fact that my content can help you with things like that, with your training and other things in life, that just, it means the world to me, because I, go after that myself. I go to others' content and other forms of, entertaining stuff and like that to help me too, because we all know, motivation comes and goes. It's not constant, but discipline is the key here. But sometimes we do need help, like a little push or a little helping hand like that. And the fact that I can give that to you and others with my content is really amazing. So thank you for the kind words and the support, Dino. I really do appreciate it. My first question is, could Death Gatling's group take on Combo Infinity? I feel like he could smack away most of their attacks, but they could create the opening to his main body and take him out with projectiles if they are organized enough. Hey, I completely agree with this. And I think that it wouldn't be too difficult for them to take him down, especially if they are organized the way that they were against Garo. I would go as far as saying that they could probably take down a low demon, because Garo was, like mid-high demon when they took him on, and they almost had him dead to rights. If it wasn't Garo, and, he didn't have all the broken abilities that he did, they probably were going to take him out. So if you, replace him with, a low demon that we've seen throughout the series, I think they probably could have gotten the job done. Because also we have to remember, Garo had to use the abandonment in that fight. So, I'm thinking, a high Tiger, above Tiger, like Combo Infinity probably would, be taken out by them. Mid-diff maybe, but I think, pushing them to high diff, they could probably take care of, a low demon too. Flashy Flash asks, hey, Shonen, my question is, how many of Flashy Flash do you need to defeat Black S, Golden S, Release Boros, Awaken Garo, and Meteoric Burst Boros? So, for taking down Black S, it really ultimately comes down to, can he produce an attack that can vaporize Black S? I don't think we've ever really seen anything from him yet that can prove this. I mean, yeah, Atomic Samurai could do the Focus Atomic Slash, and I'm sure, in theory, Flashy Flash could, replicate something similar to that, but we just haven't seen it yet. So, I don't really think it would come down to how many you would need. It would come down to if he's capable of just getting the job done, period. But, if we really want to be, pedantic about it, you can just say 11 trillion Flashies, then they'd be able to take him out. For Golden S, I think you would need, 3, somewhere around there. I think that would probably be enough to take him down. But then for, Released Boros and Awakened Garo, you would need a lot. Because Awakened Garo, basically, two-shotted Flashy Flash, and if we're going against a Released Boros who's not going to be holding back like him, he would probably, easily take care of Flashy Flash, probably, faster than him, similar to how Awakened Garo is. So you would need more than 6 probably, because they're going to be dealing with multiple of him easily, and you need just enough for them to have the opening to take his head off or something. And the Meteoric Burst Boros, you would need even more, because he'd start vaporizing Flashy Flash at that point probably, and he's way faster, way more durable, has the regen, crazy regen. So you would need a whole gang of Flashy Flashes to really take down somebody like Meteoric Burst Boros, and then even then it's unsure if they could get the job done. Maybe more than 15, just taking a guess. I don't know, he's pretty crazy at that point. My second question is, who is a better writer, One or Horikoshi? Sorry it's so short, I don't have a lot of time. Hey, it's no problem, man. So I think One, let me just say that they're both excellent writers. I both love them very much, but I think, if I have to choose, which I do here, I'll say One. I think One is more clever than Horikoshi, and I think One has the ability to ride the line between surface level and going beneath it. As where Horikoshi, I think, excels in writing for a more broader audience, making his stuff more accessible. As to One is capable of doing that as well, but he's also able to cater to those who like to read between the lines and maybe go a little deeper into the narrative, as well as the character development on certain people. Not that Horikoshi isn't capable of that, I just think One excels in that department. By the way, I love the video you made about the S-Class Heroes manga versus webcomic. I just wish you'd include my mask in the video. Thanks, bro. Hey, sorry about that. I was like writing all of the S-Class Heroes down like in numbered order, and I just totally forgot to include a my mask in that video. My bad. Kyrin asks, hey Z, it's me again. Where would you rank Bakuzan in power in comparison to the other cadres? Obviously, high dragons like Koketsu, Rover, and Black S just outclass him, as we saw Koketsu flex its absolute power over him. But among the other cadres, how powerful he is in comparison? So, I you know, most of the cadres are probably like around mid-dragon level, but then we have like the high dragons like Black S, Koketsu, and Elder Centipede. So if he was a cadre, I mean, he would definitely be at the bottom of them, because I think Bakuzan is more or less a consensus low dragon at this point. A lot of people didn't even consider him a dragon, but it really took Koketsu's narration to prove that he was, you know, because he says that he is. But other than that, I mean, I think he more so compares to like Hellfire and Gale in their monster forms, and First Resurrection form of Phoenix Man, who I guess could be considered cadre candidates, because that's what he called Hellfire and Gale. So I think that's where he would be like a cadre candidate for sure. Like, he's just around the power of like Resurrected Phoenix Man. But like, I think like Gums, Pure Ugly, guys like that are probably more powerful, more durable, and faster than him. Second question, Avengers threat level. We'll say that this is the Avengers from Infinity War to forward. Vision, Scarlet Witch, Stormbreaker, Thor, Hulk, Black Panther, Captain America, Iron Man, and hey, screw it, Iron Spider-Man. I believe demons and dragons all through here, excluding poor Hawkeye and Black Widow, but then again, their skills are top tier. But if you are really feeling spicy, every hero from the MCU, this part here is optional and completely up to you. The first part is the one where I'm not most interested in. And side note, Captain America would be best friends with Moomin Rider, and don't you think because he relates to him being the underdog in the fight from his early days and admires fighting, even if he knows he will lose? Sorry if this part is a bit too hard to read. I'm really fidgety when writing this. No problem, Kyrin. P.S. I'm really sorry for the lack of periods and punctuations in general, as well as my dumb ramblings at time. Anyway, love the vids. Keep up the great work. Hey, it's no problem, Kyrin. I really appreciate the support. So I do agree. I think Captain America, more so Steve Rogers, would definitely be friends with Moon Rider. He's actually draws a lot of parallels to him before he took the serum. They're both like really selfless and both like morally just. But let's get into these disaster levels. So I'll say that Vision, Scarlet Witch, definitely, and Stormbreaker, Thor, and Hulk. Those four definitely dragons, especially like Vision, Stormbreaker, Thor, and Scarlet Witch. They're super powerful. At least Vision in Age of Ultron. He was kind of nerfed going into Infinity War, but I understand. And then Scarlet Witch is going to become even more powerful once she gets deeper into the MCU in the upcoming years, like after WandaVision and Multiverse of Madness. She's probably going to be like above dragon level. Hulk, definitely dragon. Stormbreaker, Thor, ridiculously powerful. One of the strongest Avengers, if not the strongest one. Black Panther's like a demon for sure. Captain America, I would say he's demon. I don't think he's quite a dragon, but I mean, he you know, he's borderline going into that, but I think he's more so a dragon. Iron Man, I guess his destructive capabilities are making him a dragon, but he is very vulnerable. We've seen when he goes against the more powerful individuals, but I think we could probably make him a dragon, maybe high demon, something like that. And Iron Spider, I mean, Spider-Man alone is ridiculously powerful, but then add to the Iron Spider suit, he's maybe a dragon, maybe in between dragon and demon, somewhere around there. And remember, I'm just basing this off of what disaster levels would be like in the MCU. I'm not necessarily relating it to like the One Punch Man world, because it's not really applicable. And then Hawkeye and Black Widow, I would say that they're like tigers for sure, which is not saying that they're weak. They're just not crazy gods the way that the rest of these characters are. Mr.Awsome asks, hey Jonah, you doing well? Hope so. I am, Mr.Awesome, and I hope you are too. Anyway, my first question this week is, how do you think a fight between the Tank Top Army and the Blizzard Group without their leaders would go? I was originally going to ask, but I think the leader's pretty sure Tank Top Master would slaughter the Blizzard Group, and I thought it would be unfair if one group got their leader and the other didn't. So I think this is the Tank Toppers' fight to win. And we're just going to assume that they have Tank Top Vegetarian with them, because like currently in the webcomic, he's like retired, so they wouldn't have him. But we'll just say he has him here, because I guess we'll go with manga. But I think considering that he's like A-class rank 9, he would probably like demolish most of the Blizzard group, since they just go as high as B class rank 2 with the eyelashes. And I know that's not always indicative of like full-blown strength, but I think it's pretty much indicating that Tank Top Vegetarian is probably a powerhouse, and the rest of them are, you know, pretty strong too. So I just think they have better strength in numbers, more so than the Blizzard group does without Fubuki. My next question is if the last Dragonborn completely maxed out with every skill made legendary multiple times over, every quest completed, every Daedric artifact collected, every spell learned, every shout mastered, every perk learned, minimum level 252, was dropped into the One Punch Man world during the Monster Association arc, what disaster level would you give the Dovahkiin, and who do you think would be a good matchup, assuming you put in equally Magicka, health, stamina? Anyway, Big Z, looking forward to your answers. You rock. Hey, thank you, Mr.Awsome. You rock too. So the Dovahkiin at this point is, oh my god, he's so ridiculously powerful. Now, of course, we don't really know how his strength, durability, and speed would stack up with the rest of the characters in that world, but just on paper, he's pretty much, you know, like omnipotent almost. Like he could pretty much do everything, and has so many abilities, so much power at his disposal. I mean, I think he'd probably be at the minimum, like, I don't know, above Dragon. Good matchups. I'm thinking, like, he only really has one matchup against Saitama at that point. He's just so powerful. So, like, far and above the other characters. Just on paper, like I said. In the end, we don't know how he would stack up, but just taking a guess, he'd be unfair compared to everyone else. Oscar B asks, hi Shonen, you fine piece of meat. I have a question. I don't know if you've answered this before. Sorry if you have. Do you think that King's meta luck works against Blast? I think it might, but it all comes down to how strong Blast is and his abilities. I don't think it works against Saitama, considering the only one King couldn't hide his true self on was Saitama. So what do you think would happen if Blast and King was put in a similar situation as King and Saitama when the Crow monster attacked? I wish you all the luck you could possibly get, maybe even King's luck, and I am happy to be a part of your Patreon army. Keep up the good work. Hey, thank you so much, Oscar, and I'm very happy that you're a part of it as well, my friend. So I did make a video about this, actually, King versus Blast. Please check it out. It'll give you a better answer, but I'll just give you the cliff notes here. So I ultimately think that it just comes down to, like, us guessing what would happen, because, you know, we ultimately don't know too much about Blast, but just in theory, it's either going to go one of two ways. So Blast is going to just be so powerful that he can just see through King's aura, and he just, like, denounces King and pretty much just brushes him off as a chump. Or he, like, challenges King to, like, a sparring match to test his power, and then King kind of, like, convinces him to settle in another way, similar to how he did with Atomic Samurai. And maybe he does something to, like, make Blast think that he's ultimately powerful. Or, like, a monster tries to attack King or something, and the Blast winds up getting distracted and fights the monster by himself. It could be multiple things. I'm more so inclined to think that Blast probably isn't so absolutely unbelievably powerful to where he could see through King. I think he'll probably ultimately respect King. At least I hope so. But as for Saitama, he could see that it was, you know, who King truly was, but he was still affected by King's ability because he likes King. Like, he's, like, really likes King. Like, he went out of his way to go hang out with him, and he keeps, like, hanging out with him, and he's always interested in him. So I think that's, you know, Saitama is still under the influence of his abilities, but just not so much as to the extent of other people. Ray K asks, how's it going? Enjoy your channel. Hey, thanks, Ray. I appreciate it. I know it just happened, but the Garo versus Darkshine fight made me think of the scaling of Garo. It shouldn't really come as a surprise that Garo overcame Darkshine, considering he just got fresh off a fight with Orochi, who was also scaled by Saitama, So wouldn't Darkshine's power in comparison to Orochi be far less? He just managed to hit Garo hard enough to wake him up, but unfortunately for Darkshine, Garo was fresh off of an Orochi fight. And we went back to the Orochi fight, and I realized that Darkshine was basically just in the way. My question is, I was just wondering how you feel about the massive scaling of power that the Monster Association arc has presented. I personally feel like some don't understand the massive power scaling that's actually going on, from A-Class to Tank Top to Puri Puri, to Darkshine to Orochi. I feel like the writer scaled this series properly, and I like your channel because you clarify situations nicely. Peace, fam. Hey, thanks, Ray. So I do think that there is a good amount of scaling going on, and I think it's all consistent and it's laid out very well, like you said. So we do see, I mean, more recently, like with Garo versus Darkshine and Garo versus Prisoner. Like, you know, one shot from Garo completely annihilated Prisoner, but He did basically the same thing to Darkshine. He didn't even have to block. He just flexed and blew him off of him. So that's really showing the difference between like a low-level S-Class and one of the strongest S-Class heroes in Darkshine. But also I think it's, it's also showing the difference between him and Orochi. Because we're looking at like what High Dragon could be with Darkshine, and then we're looking at like an above dragon with Orochi. And we also have to remember that Orochi was holding back against Garo, and he was still that impressive. Like he was, like if you're just comparing Orochi to Garo's power, Orochi to Darkshine, like we see it, like you said, the difference is ridiculous. Like so big of a difference, even though like the leap in scaling isn't that big or as much as you would think. And then it ultimately comes down to like Garo's growth coming off of the Orochi fight. Like it wasn't just because he fought Orochi so much, but it's like Orochi pushed him to become stronger because it was revealed that that's one of Garo's abilities, but also him, essentially pushing him close to death, or at least that's what it was implied that happened when he like knocked him out. That also forced his growth to happen. So it was unfortunate for Darkshine to fight him because he gained power coming off of that fight from Orochi. Rain Above All asks, hey show, glad to finally be supporting you. I've been watching for a long time and you've really deepened my love of One Punch Man. Hey, thanks Rain, I really appreciate the support. That being said, my question is, what exactly is your beef with Naruto scaling? You seem to downplay the verse quite a bit, and I don't really understand what your actual thoughts about the verse are. I'd like to know how strong you think the characters are and how they stack up for you in more detail. Appreciate all that you do and have a good weekend. So, honestly, I'm not really trying to downplay Naruto. I love it. It's one of my favorite series. It's one of the first anime series I've ever gotten into, and I think it's one of the best ever for sure. Like, I see some people kind of have discrepancies with the Fourth War. I don't. I think it's one of the best things to ever happen in battle manga. It's just so awesome. Like, I wish other series did it. Like, just getting all the most significant characters in the entire series, both dead and alive, get them all together, and just see what happens. And that's basically what we got. And it's like, I hope they do that with One Piece. But as for the scaling and all that stuff, it's not the series itself that I have an issue with. It's the scalers scaling the series. Now, not all of them, of course, but it's like there's just like this group of people that kind of like parrot and regurgitate what other big influencers have said on the topic, mainly like calculations and stuff like that, which I don't really think I have a place in like actually really comparing things. Now, it's fun to use calculations for the sake of entertainment and stuff like that, but I don't really think it matters because the authors didn't have those calculations in mind, and also we can't like really compare their reality to our own reality, so I don't think it has a place. And it's more so like comes from like when people are trying to use that as like a device to attack others in like scaling arguments and stuff like that, like well, the Biju bomb is this powerful multi-continental because of this equation and whatnot. And it's like that's fine, but it's more seems like it's coming from like a malicious place. And it's like turning this into something that it's not. Like it's taking the fun out of it when they like really get like so argumentative and pedantic about things. And like fun is ultimately what this is all about. And I don't like when people try to turn this into like some kind of like political debate or something. I'd rather just go off of the context of the series, the source material, what is on the page, what the authors had their intentions on it. And then if we really want to compare it to other series, then we'll do the same accordingly. So that's the only real beef, if you want to say, that I have with it. I don't really care in the long run. It doesn't like offend me, but it just mildly bothers me, I'd say, when I feel that people's intentions with this kind of stuff comes from like a malicious place. That's all. ShadowBatX asks, what's good, Shonen, aka the one above all, aka disaster level above Saitama, aka the one who should not be named. How does it feel to be 50,000 times stronger? Feels pretty good, ShadowBat, and I couldn't have done it without you guys, so thank you so much. How far do you think Black S can go against all the executives and Orochi? Not all at once, but arcade style, one-on-one before the next. I think he could go pretty far. However, I don't think he's likely to beat them all, but it would be pretty cool. So what do you think? I agree with you. I think that he could probably beat a lot of them, but not all of them. Like, he would probably excel against, like, Homeless Emperor, who I don't think would be able to vaporize him, or at least it doesn't seem like he would compared to what he's doing against Zombie Man. And also, I'm sure he would be able to overwhelm Homeless Emperor before he can overwhelm him. Gums, in theory, could eat him and digest him and take care of him that way, but I think Black Ass would probably be able to overwhelm him as well. And then it's like Goketsu. Can he generate enough power to vaporize him? Maybe, maybe not. You know, that one's up in the air. I think he could probably overcome Elder Centipede because he could just, split himself up enough to, like, barrage him into death, possibly. And then the rest of them, I don't know, it seems fairly open-ended for him to probably win. And in the end, I mean, if he was going against Orochi, he would die as Black S, but he would, be vaporized by his blasts and stuff. But I think he would need to go into Golden S to be able to take care of, like, Orochi at that point. Last question. This is probably one of the dumbest questions I'm asking, but I need to know the answer to this. ZD Honan, my true name. God level threat, Mosquito versus Boros, all forms, Orochi final form, and Awaken Garo at once. Yes, I know I'm reusing the old question of mine, but with the Mosquito instead of Saitama, even I can't hypothetically think of an outcome. If you're having trouble answering this, then ask, I quote, my good friend Bob Lazar. Maybe he can help you. So who's the victor here? I assume that it would probably be like a stalemate because we haven't seen the Mosquito like use any form of offense. Now his defense is, unquestionably the best. Like Saitama couldn't keep up with him. He's warping in between reality. He's bending gravity. And, considering that Saitama couldn't really deal with something like that, I highly doubt that Boros, all forms, Orochi, and Awaken Garo all together definitely couldn't deal with it. But it only comes down to if he were to use some kind of offense, then I'm sure he would be able to take care of them. But if it ultimately comes down to can they hurt him, the answer is hell no. Anyway, congratulations on reaching 50,000 subs. First saw you had what? You guessed it, 22.5. You are too good to us, disciples of yours with such amazing content. Thanks, man. So the real question is, I should subscribe to you. Click the subscribe and unsubscribe button. I'll continue to look the other way. Up the pledge because you know why, even though you'll say you didn't have to do that, and you didn't, but thank you. But I did anyway. Take care, the myth, the legend, the one and only Shonen. Hey, thank you so much, ShadowBatX. It's really that you guys are too good to me. I feel like I probably don't do enough, but I am super appreciative of it nonetheless, so thank you again. The one above all patrons, Wolf Pup, asks, Nani? How dare you give me a -1? Well, I guess I can just let it slide since you're my favorite content creator. Don't get the wrong idea, Baka. Konnichiwa, Meister Shonen. Wolf here. My question is, what did you think of Chapter 127, a prequel Garo against his fight with Darkshine? I didn't notice Garo was fighting in his sleep until Darkshine threw a haymaker at him. Do you think we will see the aftermath in the next chapter? Because on the webcomic, Garo takes out Darkshine off panel, the same when he kills Golden S, without showing what he is capable of. Oh, and let me point something out. Flashy Flash mentions Orochi, which I believe with all of my heart Orochi will come back with a weaker version of him and fight Flashy Flash. I still believe my boy Daedric Genos will finish off Monster King Orochi with a 10-second Kamehameha Blast because Genos deserves it. So I think maybe in the next chapter we're going to get finally Tatsumaki pulling the Monster Association out of the ground, or at least that's where it seems it's headed. Unless they really want to stretch this out, the next chapter might just be King encountering Tario, and then Tatsumaki like getting her Esper grip around Psychos possibly, and then it ends there, and then maybe we see more of like Flashy Flash and Saitama, and maybe some of Fubuki and Bang and Bomb stuff, and then maybe they'll save it for the next chapter. But if the next chapter is her pulling the base out of the ground, then I think it might probably play out the same way, where we just see Garo like standing in front of Darkshine, and then Darkshine collapses from like exhaustion or whatever. I wouldn't be surprised if it plays out that way, and we don't see any more of him like finishing him off. We kind of just see the aftermath. Maybe that's what one ultimately wanted, because it is going to flash back eventually, like when Prisoner has to go save Darkshine. We are going to see like the, him taking more of the punching and stuff, and then we're going to get his backstory as well. So I really wouldn't be surprised if we still stays off panel more or less. As for Flashy Flash fighting Orochi, man, this would be interesting because it would kind of conflict with Flashy Flash resurfacing and taking care of Awaken Garo. That would mean that he would probably have to resurface sooner, and I don't think that's going to happen. But if he does come back, then I do think it's going to be Genos instead of Flashy Flash, or at least I hope it is as well. My last question is, if both Prime Bang and Bomb teamed up with both All Might and All for One, both in their prime full power, and in all four of them planned strategically, could they have beaten webcomic Awaken Garo? How will the fight conclude? Please explain why. Arigato Wolf Power. So I'm honestly thinking that Prime All Might could take care of Awaken Garo just by himself. He doesn't even need the help of these guys, and he would just overcome him with speed and pure power. I think he's, just strong enough and fast enough to take care of Awaken Garo from the webcomic. That might be controversial, but I'm thinking that's how it goes. I mean, he just blows I mean, maybe it'll be competitive, maybe not, but I think he ultimately just takes him down with just powerful strikes. So that's pretty much it for the video today, guys. Once again, I want to thank all 115 of my amazingly overpowered patrons. Guys, I can't thank you enough for all of this incredible support. And if you would like to be in next week's Q&A video, just simply check out my Patreon. The $5 tier will give you access to it. And if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.